I never thought that he would grow up to be a DJ.
Jay was the centerpiece of the stage.
He would cut that run, 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 run.
We're from Run DMC, and we support Joe Clark 100%.
They were like superheroes to us.
Breaking news, a member of Run DMC is dead.
Someone hit me on the phone and they said to me, like, did you hear about Jay? And I was like, nah, what happened to Jay?
He walked right over to Jay and fired around immediately without any conversation at all.
I went inside the studio. Lydia was in there on the floor crying. Tony Rucon was on the couch, shot, and Jay was on the floor dead.
I just want to tell everybody we thank everybody for all their support and their condolences.
Is that normal for an investigation like this, for all of these conflicting theories to be out there at one time, complicating an investigation?
You're making my client the main suspect in this case. If he's the main suspect, he's not talking.
There were some threats to some of our witnesses.
He goes, I'm gonna go in your car and take her out. And I'm like, no, you're not.
No crime happens without some form of witness.
Nobody wants to see running DMC without Jay.
There was a perception at the time and even now that the NYPD didn't care about Jam Master Jay's murder because he was a black rapper.
But if he was someone else, oh, they would have had the person, no doubt.
A grand jury returned an indictment charging two defendants.
It's such a weak state homicide case that they didn't bring it over the last 20 years.
Whoever they said is doing it, did they really do it?
Do you remember where you were the first time you heard that Jam Master Jay had been killed?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us right here on the Mike Lee Show, sponsored by the one and only iconic Miss Jamie Foster Brown. And today, I am very excited to have the one and only Rashidi Hendrix with me. Rashidi is known for the series Set the Record Straight, the Jam Master Jay case, the Lick movie, and Born to Style. His latest project won him 3 Emmy Awards for the Jam Master Jay case. Help me welcome this great producer. How are you today, brother?
Pretty good, man. Great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Excellent, excellent. Definitely, we were all excited for you. I want to jump right into this interview, especially being a producer myself. So I'm very excited to talk to you and get to some insight from you. First, about this documentary. When did you first start production on this project?
Well, so the idea kind of germinated in 2020. So it was right when the pandemic started. Darla Miles, who's a reporter at ABC7 in New York City, came to me and said, "Hey, I'm playing around with an idea that I want to throw at you." And that probably was like around the early summer of 2020. Of course, around that time, everybody was pretty locked in, especially if you were in New York. The pandemic was crazy. And then probably like maybe about 6 months later, maybe a little less, she told me that, "Hey, listen, we're moving forward on this project and I really need you to help me." And I said, okay. So that was probably like around maybe August. Maybe I don't know if it was August, but maybe it was actually, it was around late, probably like early fall. And what ended up happening was the 2 guys that allegedly killed Jam Master Jay got arrested. So that even kind of gave us even more of an incentive to try to do this project, because we realized that, wow, we have a lot to talk about. Up until then, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the case, Jam Master Jay was murdered in 2003. Up until then, there had been no like correspondence of the case.
We're talking almost 20 years ago. This is
Yeah, it was probably really like a good 19, 18 years. And you know, what's crazy is that a lot of people who were a lot of people um who were fans of Jam Master Jay didn't even know what was going on. You know what I mean? So it just made sense. And I think by the time we started to do it, it was around September. And then next thing we started doing was shooting. We started shooting in October. So we shot most of October, and then we did some pickups in November. We started editing probably like right after Christmas. And then the doc came out in April of 2020.
For all of the people who love hip hop and love that group, this question sticks out a bit. And to answer this for people who really are concerned about the case, why did this happen? Why did he have to die?
Well, listen, I hate to say it, but the people that allegedly shot him were people that were friends of his. And one of the things that was one of the major things in the case, and I don't want to give up too much because I want people to watch the doc, but
absolutely.
But it was discovered that Jam Master Jay was involved in some illegal activity, and it was just basically kind of like a drug deal that went bad, and I think he was a middleman for one group of people, and that wanted to buy from another group of people, and I think the other guys got cut out the deal, and that's where it went left. So
once you got the call, why did you want to take on this sort of task? Why did you want to be a part?
Well, I used to work for Def Jam for a long time, so I guess there was a sense of loyalty to the brand in a way. And then not only that, I think that Jam Master Jay was an influence for me. I was a DJ for a long time. In college, I was a radio DJ. I was a mix show DJ. I was a party DJ. I did clubs. I did parties. And I can say that, he definitely was somebody who was an influence for me. He was one of the people I looked up to from the DJ world. But I also wanted to do it because I felt like if somebody else did it, they were going to mess it up. So when they asked me to do the project, I felt like I really wanted to make sure that the story was told right.
Did you feel called to do it?
Yeah, a little bit.
You were called, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. And then, at one point I wasn't the director on the project, and then I felt compelled to direct it because I really wanted to make sure it was told right.
Once you took on the case, what fascinated you the most about some of the things that you would find out or go through? Without telling too much, what fascinated you the most?
Well, I mean, I think there were a lot of issues. I think that so it was Jam Master Jay and Tony Rincon that got shot in the studio when the two alleged killers came in. But it was almost like, I think what shocked me was really like, well, how did they get in? And so the woman who was at the front, her name was Lydia, she had to know who those guys were because, most recording studios, you don't just get to come upstairs because you have to go up the steps. You have to be buzzed in.
Yeah.
To this particular studio over in Jamaica. So it was kind of one of those things where I think what was fascinating to me is that, and this is the reoccurring story in our communities, is that we sometimes know all the answers, but we're either too scared to talk about it because we're worried about retaliation or the neighborhood thinking you're snitching, or and this is one of the reasons why a lot of our crimes don't get solved. So I think it was just interesting to me that she probably knew who these people were. And they obviously had been to the studio before. You don't get buzzed up unless you've been there before. And that they came in, just blasting. Like it was just really amazing to me. That was one thing that was kind of crazy. I guess the other thing too was just some of the other evidence that we found. Like there was in our doc, there was never seen before photos, of Jam Master Jay. Not only that, but just evidence that we found. And I would say the third thing is, just really a lot of things. We did like a really great segment on Jay that, I found out really cool things about him, when we were talking to some of his family and his relatives, just cool things about him that I didn't even know. And I think that was really interesting too, just learning his background and his history, spending time in Hollis. I had never really spent time in Hollis before. And I really felt like while I was out there, his spirit was kind of walking with me through the neighborhood.
It was like finding out who he was as a human being, getting to know him spiritually.
Yeah. And I only met him once. I met him probably like a year before he got killed. And it was real brief. I saw him and we were outside a party in Manhattan and I saw him. It was the first time I'd ever seen him in person, except for during the Fresh Fest, on stage. But that was the first time I'd ever seen him in person. And, I was just like, oh, damn, Master J, so it was just really great to live through his life just in this way,
Now, 1 Emmy, 2 Emmy, 3 Emmys. What was it like to win, to do this work, get so connected to it, but then after that, win 3 Emmys for it? Was it 3 or was it more?
Well, we won 3, and then Darla, my partner, who was the host of the doc, she won an individual one. So collectively, we won 4, but I won 3. Yeah, I mean, it was like the first time I've really been, awarded like that. I mean, I've always.
That was your first Emmy, Rashidi?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations!
So thank you. So, it was really great to be honored and put on the shoulders like that. I mean, I never imagined, what that feeling would be like. I always kind of knew I would win an Emmy because, like when you do the work, you just know that hopefully one day you'll get recognized. I think more important for me was while I was up there to accepting the awards was just knowing that Jam Master Jay probably was happy and his family was happy, and that to me was the more of the connection than anything. I mean, the award was great and, I'll never say it wasn't, but it was really great just to have that experience of, celebrating him, honor him. And every time I went up there, I mentioned that.
Were you happy with what you accomplished? Not the award, but once you got the award, it sort of verified, hey, we told our story, we did good.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, the body of work is there. I mean, like I knew when we made it after the first cut, like it was like, okay, we got something. And one of the reasons they brought me in to do it is because they didn't have anybody who really knew how to make a documentary. So, my contribution was really organizing it and really of how to make a doc. And so that was really, so I'm glad that contribution was enough to win an award, obviously. But, I also feel like we had, I feel like we did a really great project. And I think that's the feeling. I knew from the beginning that our project was really good.
Great.
That it was just needed to be put out there for people to recognize it.
Are you, what's next? Where do you go from here?
Well, I just finished doing a series for Revolt. So we're finished on that. Actually, the show comes out next Monday. And it's called Bet on Black. It's basically like a competition series. It's their version of Shark Tank. So if you can imagine, we got 12 entrepreneurs that are pitching their ideas to celebrities. Celebrities include Pinky Cole, who's an entrepreneur, created Slutty Vegan, Master P, Remy Ma, LaToya Luckett,
nice.
Target exec from the community outreach department named Ron Brown, and Taviel Samuels, who's the CEO of Revolt. So they all were revolving judges, and they got to hear the pitches, and then everybody who was a contestant got to compete for $200,000. So
very nice. Thank you for joining us today, man. This is first of all, let everybody know where they can stream this documentary. If you haven't seen it, you really need to see it. It's a very, very great documentary. but it really puts you in a place where, I mean, we're still going through this in our community, especially in the rap community. We're still going through this. We go all the way back to Tupac, to Biggie, to Master Jam, and then just recently we've lost so many other
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, Young Dolph, PNB.
Absolutely, man.
Like this is just recently, and then there's a bunch of artists that aren't as popular or well known, but they still
Absolutely.
the same were well known. And you know, it's not good to have the streets always validate your what your life is. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because a lot of these guys who come to the streets, their goal is, whether they admit it or not, is to get out of the hood. They want to
Absolutely.
they want to take what they're doing and their craft and their art and earn a living, and inspire people. I mean, some people do. Some people it is about the money. But I think on the grand scheme, it's like, a lot of these guys, you know, um, a lot of these guys, it's always like the same situation. It's like, they find themselves in these situations because they can't let go of the streets. You know what I mean? And there's a point in your life as a mature adult where you have to always be, you always have to be elevating to the next level. And, coming from the hood, you have to say to yourself, well, how do I have the perfect blend of being with my people, but also
being safe,
elevating my family and being safe, because the things that you do when you're not popular and have sold 1 million records is not the same thing that you can do when you have, so
Absolutely.
so that's where it's the same story over and over again of these artists, dealing with the same thing. And we'd actually planned to tell that story, with kind of like a spinoff where we were going to investigate a lot of different artists, and these crimes and stuff like that.
Great documentary, man.
Thank you.
Well, a pleasure to meet you. Kudos to you, man. As a producer, I'm a producer. I do all the same stuff. So it's an honor to talk to you today, and congratulate you on your accolades. You give me hope to see somebody, that looks like me who can go up and win 3 Emmys. It's so inspiring, man. And it's just good to see that. So I'm happy for you, and want to thank you for joining us today. And I can't wait to see more of your stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out your work as well. And yeah, I mean, more to come, man. Got a lot of cool things on the rise. So, on Instagram, my Instagram is Rashidi Rara. So it's RASHIDI So it's Rashidi, my first name, and then Rara.
Awesome. And we'll put all of your social media stuff.
Yeah, and I'm on LinkedIn too. So,
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining us today, man. We know you got to go. We're not going to hold you long. Everybody, thank you for joining us right here on the Mike Lee Show with Rashidi Hendrix. I was honored to interview him today, and I'm just very, very glad about that. Thank you, man, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, man. Thanks.